Welcome back everyone to another Top 10. Today on the show we'll be taking a look at influencers that were exploited by their parents. After the news broke that the singer Pink believed teen YouTuber Piper Rockelle was being exploited by her parents, we thought it would be a good idea to go over all of the other influencers that were taken advantage of by their parents. I'm going to get into all of that in just a moment, but first if you could do us a big favor and please tap that like button, we'd really appreciate it. And with that out of the way, let's begin. Coming in number 10, Piper Rockelle. If you recall, we just did a story about this teen YouTuber who the singer Pink called out on Twitter. To refresh your memory, here's what Pink said. How many kids like Piper Rockelle are being exploited by their parents? And at what point do the rest of us say this isn't okay for a 13-year-old to be posing in a bikini whilst her mother takes the photo? As you can see, Pink seems very concerned about this teen influencer showing too much skin and is directly blaming her parents for enabling her behavior. However, despite allegations of being exploited by her parents, Piper Rockelle has responded and denied Pink's claims. In response, she said, "The first thing I want everyone to know is that my mom doesn't make me do anything. Quite the opposite. I'm a kid who had a dream and my mom is amazing enough to help me live it out." She then adds, "I don't think Pink has ever even seen one of my YouTube videos, because if she did, she'd see it's just my friends and me having fun and acting like ourselves. The content we make is the kind of stuff anyone can watch." For context, Piper had posted a series of herself in a bikini on her Instagram page, which is what we're assuming set Pink off. In at number 9, Aaron Carter. When you're the younger brother of a Backstreet Boy, your career as a teen idol is pretty much ready to go. Unlike his brother though, Aaron Carter was able to build his empire as a solo artist. At such a young age, he seemed to be on top of the world. He had chart-topping singles and tons of loving fans. However, in 2003, when Aaron was just 16 years old, his parents filed for divorce. As if dealing with a parent's divorce wasn't hard enough on the kid, he also found out that his mother/manager, Jane Carter, had been blowing through his money. At the time, she had spent nearly $100,000 of the money that he had made. Plus, it was reported that she would actively keep his father from attending his concerts. So shortly after learning all of this, Aaron Carter filed for legal emancipation. In at number 8, Macaulay Culkin. It is still a mystery as to how Macaulay has been able to maintain his sanity over the years. He has been famous for essentially his entire life. In the 1990s, he was one of the most famous child actors around and arguably one of the most famous actors as well. Thanks to the smash hit that Home Alone was, Culkin was catapulted into a very lucrative career. Sadly, when Macaulay was 15, his parents separated and oddly enough, his wealth was at the center of their dispute. Try to figure that one out. Increasingly frustrated that his mother would try to use his $17 million in earnings to buy a new house for herself, Macaulay enlisted the help of a lawyer. He then emancipated himself from both of his parents, but his mother ended up winning custody. Although that did not mean that she would now have access to his money. The judge made sure to appoint an accountant to his case to manage the money until Culkin turned 18. In at number 7, Ryan's Toy Review. According to Forbes magazine, Ryan's Toy Reviews was the #1 highest paid YouTuber of 2018, up from number 8 of the previous year. That's right, a 7-year-old kid named Ryan made $11 million in 2017, and then a whopping $22 million in 2018. That's going to buy you a heck of a lot more than some toys, that's for sure. He first started getting popular with audiences of kids looking for toy reviews back in 2015 when he was only 4 years old. With more than 22 million subscribers, his top video has almost 2 billion views. 2 billion with a big old B. I mean, financially that's great for his parents because toys are expensive, but at the end of the day, when this kid hits a certain age, he's probably gonna want that money back. In at number 6, Kobe Bryant. It's still hard to wrap your head around the fact that Kobe Bryant is no longer with us, but when his story came up in my research, I knew that he had to be included in this list. Kobe's mother Pamela had signed a consignment agreement with Golden Auctions to sell off more than 100 items from his childhood. This included high school game uniforms, NBA championship rings, and even high school varsity letters. Due to the overwhelming value of these items, his mother was given an advance of $450,000 that she used to buy a new home in Las Vegas. Upon learning all of this, Kobe Bryant sued his parents as well as Golden Auctions. The lawsuit was only partially successful though. Bryant was able to allow the sale of less than 10% of the original items offered up, with most of the money earned going to charity. In at number 5, Leann Rimes. Leann rose to fame at the age of 13 following the release of her version of the Bill Mack song called Blue. She became the youngest country music star since Tanya Tucker in 1972. Her breakout album came in 1996 with the debut of Blue reaching #1 on the top country album chart. She has won 2 Grammys, 3 Academy of Country Music Awards, a CMA, 12 Billboard Music Awards, and 1 American Music Award. With over 37 million records sold worldwide, Rimes had established a large sum of wealth. Although in 2000 at 17 years old, she and her mother would be going to court over the alleged theft of her earnings. The lawsuit was against her father Wilbur and co-manager Lyle Walker, who Rimes alleged to have stolen nearly $8 million from her. The battle inside the courtroom was messy and eventually she agreed to just settle outside of court. In number 4, Gary Coleman. Gary Coleman was once rated first by VH1 on a list of the 100 greatest child stars on television. Best known for his role as Arnold Jackson in Different Strokes, Gary Gary would go on to have a very successful career as a child actor. I mean, very successful. He made millions of dollars for his acting, but before he knew it, the well had run dry. Not only did Coleman sue his financial advisor, but he sued his parents as well for mishandling his $18 million fortune. In 1989, Coleman won the court case but was only given $1.3 million, which sounds like a lot to us, and it is. However, when you see that he made $18 million, it looks like nothing. Even worse, suing his parents absolutely destroyed their relationship. A decade later, he was filing for bankruptcy, and at the time of his death in 2010, his parents had not spoken with their son for more than 2 decades. In at number 3, Ariel Winter. For those of you who watch Modern Family, you'll remember this child actor immediately. Although her television family looks lovely, her family in real life was less than secure. At 14 years old, she was removed from her family home after allegations of physical and emotional damage by her mother. For years after leaving home, she was in and out of the court system, fighting for the right to be emancipated from her parents' custody. It wasn't until she turned 17 in 2015 that she was finally able to win her case. When reflecting on suing her parents, she said, "It has been very sad for me, but at the same time it's been much better for me emotionally and physically to be on my own and have a better, safer household and support system." In number 2, Toy Freaks. I really just can't even believe this guy. His name is Gregory Chisholm, and he is a single dad raising 2 daughters on his own. I'm sure he was asking himself at one point, well, I get 1 hour with them every other Sunday thanks to a court order. How should I spend it with them? I know, I'll make them help me with my YouTube page. And so he did. He constantly pranked his kids, almost harming them in the process. He made them act like babies and do things that babies would do. I mean, imagine being 10 years old and your dad's like, "Hey hun, dad's gonna need you to put this pacifier in your mouth. Go on, step into that diaper, and I'm gonna get my iPhone out and we're gonna get millions of views for you poop yourself." Alright everybody, in Toy Freaks break! Yeah, YouTube eventually kicked him off of the platform because they believe the videos may have caused severe psychological damage to his kids, and I think they're right with that one. Last but certainly not least, our number 1 spot, Family 05. Formerly known as Daddy 05, this family of YouTubers with the father Mike Martin leading the charge also used to prank their kids. Along with his wife Heather, they would absolutely terrorize their children under the veil that it was all just a funny prank for their channel. We're talking mental, physical, and emotional damage. The YouTube couple from Maryland would often break their kids' toys and even yell at them until they cried. All for what? YouTube ad money? You're willing to destroy your children's future for views. Alright then. After massive online backlash, the pair lost their accounts. They were charged with 2 counts of misdemeanor child neglect, and they lost custody of their 2 kids as well.
Have over 400,000 subscribers and continue to feature pranks that in some cases appear to show a child being hurt by a family member to the point of emotional explosion.
There are so many people that rise to fame at a young age, and because of this, their parents usually turn from parental figures into their managers of their lucrative careers. Coming at number 10, Danielle Cohen. This teen influencer has more than 1.5 million subscribers, but her way of getting those clicks was very controversial. She actually posted a video with a title alluding to the fact that she was expecting a child. Many were already creeped out thinking that she was 15 years old, and it became even more shocking to discover that she was actually 13. During an interview with her father, he said, "For years I have done the diplomatic thing while dealing with my daughter being online in a way I didn't approve of and trying to have it handled out of social media because I figured the system would work and keep my daughter safe." AKA he thought the internet would do all the parenting for him. In at number 9, Lil Tay. This once innocent kid burst onto the social media scene with her ridiculous videos of money, cars, and expensive items. People had so many questions like, where did she get all this money, and how is she sitting in a Lambo, and more importantly, where are her parents? Lil Tay got a ton of hate online for her short flexing videos, but in doing so she also gained millions of followers. We soon realized that her family, namely her brother and mom, were behind the scenes coaching Lil Tay into behaving this way, but now that she's had a taste of fame, even she believes it was all her idea, calling herself the youngest 9-year-old flexer of the century, which just means that her family has completely inflated this poor kid's ego. And if the internet doesn't stop her, sadly no one will. In at number 8, the Ingham family. Despite the patriarch of the family getting involved with some pretty heinous accusations, this family vlogging channel still has just over 1.3 million subscribers on YouTube. And if you don't know what happened, allow me to bring you up to speed. Back in 2018, the father of this channel, Chris Ingham, was being accused of sending inappropriate messages to young fans. The father of 3 then explicitly denied that he was some sort of creepy predator, but neglected to mention the messages that were sent. In July of 2018, the son alleged that Chris had sent text messages to a 16-year-old asking her to sneak out of her mom's hotel to meet with him in the middle of the night. He also sent a strange photo of himself asking a 19-year-old to send him a photo of her naked after claiming that he could make her a star. The 16-year-old from Sussex came forward and told the son online how she met him while she was on a holiday with her parents in Disneyland, Florida, but added that hours later later, she was bombarded with a series of late-night private messages on Twitter. In those messages, he attempted to persuade her to sneak out and come meet him, later asking if she was home alone and then telling her that he wanted to go skinny dipping. Not exactly the type of behavior that you would expect from a family vlogger that sells this idea that he's happily married with kids. In at number 7, 8 Passengers. This family vlogging channel has nearly 2.4 million subscribers, but just over a year ago, these YouTuber parents were being accused of mistreating their children. Drama channels and TikTokers were using a clip of a video where their son, Chad, was talking about sleeping on a beanbag chair. This sparked a massive wave of backlash towards the family that they weren't properly taking care of their kids. To make matters worse, more people became upset when it was revealed that one of their daughters in the family had gone to school without a lunch one day. Eventually, Child Protective Services were called to their home after a concerned viewer online started a petition. The parents, Ruby and Kevin, vehemently denied these claims and said that the clips were taken out of context. According to them, they were trying to teach Chad that his actions have consequences. According to the son, he had lost his room after he had played a prank on his little brother. He exposed his parents though by saying, "My bedroom was taken away for 7 months. I was sleeping on a beanbag chair since October." Now I don't know about you, but that seems a little harsh for a prank. In at number 6, Leighton Meester. You'd never be able to tell by how she carries herself today, but this polished celebrity was actually born in a Texas prison while her mother served time for drug smuggling. Though her mother was allowed to spend 12 weeks in a halfway house with newborn Leighton, she was soon sent back to jail. Meester ended up living with her grandmother in Florida until her mother was released, and at 10 her family moved to New York so that she could begin a career in modeling, only to then pack up again 4 years later and then head to Los Angeles. Once in Hollywood, she began auditioning for various roles while taking acting classes. She did find it difficult though to relate to kids her age because of her unstable upbringing. Fast forward to 2011, she ended up filing a lawsuit against her mother over the care that her brother had been receiving. Leighton claimed that she had been sending money to support him, but her mother was instead using that money to pay for cosmetic procedures. In response, her mother actually countersued and tried to state that she was entitled to the money in return for, and this is her words, sacrificing her own happiness for Leighton's success. Despite this, Leighton won and the presiding judge rejected all of her mother's claims. In number 5, Sofia Abraham. For those of you who don't know who Sofia is, she's the daughter of Farrah Abraham. Farrah first came into the spotlight on the reality show 16 and Pregnant. Well, now her baby is 12 years old and boy oh boy is she out of control. In her defense, a lot of this child's wild moments are a direct result of how her mother behaves. She constantly is trying to find a way into the spotlight and used her daughter to leverage a little more attention for herself, because you can't mention Sofia without also mentioning her once famous mother. In a video recorded by Farrah herself, she actually has Sofia reading out comments from her haters. Imagine having haters at 12 years old. Anyone would lose their mind under those circumstances. In at number 4, Amanda Bynes. Much like Britney Spears, Amanda Bynes is currently under a conservatorship. Back in 2014, the Nickelodeon star spoke about her bipolar diagnosis, which simply unleashed more information about her mental health and drug addictions. Due to this, her mother was granted the right to be her conservator after it was determined that Amanda's drug use made her too unstable to make decisions. Now, because of this, she is for sure never allowed to make decisions without first getting the consent of her guardian. However, in February of 2020, she did attempt to explain her situation and garner support to have this conservatorship removed. In the post, she said, "Today I want to talk about a controversial topic, my conservator case. I have been going to a treatment center that charges $5,200 a month. There's no reason why I shouldn't go to a therapist who takes my insurance for $5,000 less a month. This is why I've asked to see the judge next week regarding this conservatorship issue." Unfortunately, her pleas were not heard by the courts and thus the conservatorship was extended. In number 3, Corey Feldman. Rising to fame in the 1980s with roles as a youth in films like Gremlins, The Goonies, and Stand By Me, Feldman became a highly sought after child actor. In 1986, he discovered that his mother though had been spending almost all of his money and only left Feldman with $40,000 in the bank. Much like many of these other celebrities so far, Corey sued his parents to be freed from their legal custody. The really messed up part with Corey Feldman's story though is that while he had successfully sued to be emancipated from his parents, his father refused to sign the papers. Corey just wanted some control over his money, but his dad wouldn't give in until he paid him the $40,000 that he had left. How gross is that? In number 2, Jackie Coogan. Jackie was a child actor who became famous for his role as the kid in the movie of the same name. Working alongside the brilliant Charlie Chaplin, the movie became an instant classic. He was first discovered by Chaplin at an LA theater, which would propel the young boy into a 50-year acting career, bringing him both fame and fortune. Over the course of his career though, he earned $4 million, but due to his mother and stepfather's expensive taste, most of that was spent on diamonds or expensive cars, leaving him with almost nothing. Once he got older, he started to understand that his parents basically robbed him. Chaplin would support him financially whenever he fell on hard times, and in a statement his mother said, "No promises were ever made to give Jackie anything. Every dollar a kid earns before he is 21 belongs to his parents." And in 1938, Jackie sued them and would win the legal battle, putting forth a whole new law. The legislation of the California Child Actors Bill was passed in 1939 in California, all thanks to Jackie. This legislature says that the money earned and accumulated under a contract of the code remains the sole legal property of the minor child. Last but certainly not least, on our number 1 spot, Britney Spears. For nearly half of Britney's career, she has not held full control over her own life. Britney has been under a conservatorship since her infamous breakdown that resulted in her being hospitalized and sent to rehab. However, shockingly funnily enough, she made a comeback with her 2008 album titled Circus, and then continued to release albums, tour, and star in a Las Vegas residency. On top of that, she launched business ventures that included a lucrative perfume and lingerie line. And all of this money was being controlled by her father, who paid himself a very nice salary for doing so. During Britney's testimony, she revealed how awful this control over her life was, and even stated that she would refuse to work if her father was still in control of her life and income. Even after saying that he would depart from his role in the conservatorship, Jamie tried again to exploit his daughter by asking for $2 million in payouts, for which her lawyer Matthew Rosengard denied him access to. But hopefully this nightmare for Britney will be over soon. So before we get out of here, I'm going to check out some of your comments from the video titled "Influencer Charli D'Amelio exposed by photographer for stealing." Jay Fearless says, "I always thought it was weird to not have ownership over your own image." Yeah, it's very tricky to get that. I mean, once people put it out on Google, it's fair play until somebody either files like a copyright lawsuit, or unless you already had that all figured out. But it is a strange thing that the internet's doing, just taking people's images with no credit, no payment. Ugh. Emily says, "I mean, at this point, is anyone actually surprised?" I guess not. I guess not. TikTok's all about stealing things, so yeah. Jilly says, "She didn't even write the book, so it's likely she didn't choose the layout or pictures." Very true. That was my point in that video as well. I don't think that she had that much say in it, but again, she's getting all the flack for it because she's on the cover. Desiree Hassett says, "Seriously, she knows better, just trying to get a sneaky one past this guy. Glad he didn't let it go. He deserves to be paid." Again, I don't think it was Charli trying to be sneaky, but I'm happy that the photographer is at least speaking up for himself. Ugly Potato says, "She's really bad at crediting people, lol, but hopefully after this situation she'll give great credit in the further future." I hope so. I mean, I really hope so. She did credit him on that one photo from 2019, but I mean, what's a credit without payment? Let's check out some of your comments from the video titled "Top 10 Influencers Exposed for Being Creepy." Kersey Ferguson says, "I never understood the hype about Franco, he always scared me." Yeah, I don't get that either, especially after Spring Breakers. I was like, this dude is weird. This dude is real weird. Penny Parker says, "They seriously should go after Twitter and Instagram and have them get those blue check marks off. For real, we need to start seeing some blue check marks get revoked." Sparkle Painter says, "So glad to see Shane here, still see people defend him and I don't get how or why." And neither do I, that's why I keep bringing him back up. Nicole Powell says, "Even Seth Rogen has cut ties with James Franco." True, but many others are still supporting it. Brenna the Cat Lover says, "There's no way there's only creepy male influencers." Yeah, there is no way. But guys, that is the end of today's video. Thank you so much for watching. I've been your host, Johnny Rogers, and until next time, stay classy, YouTube, or at least try.